Addiction thinks in circles, whereas invention thinks in spirals.
Yes. Yes,
And
yes,
I
yes.
love it. And spiral is not one dot, it's actually one seed becoming bigger and bigger and bigger
Mhm.
and bigger and bigger and bigger.
So I'm grateful for that. And then two, just the pain just reminding me like this body is so amazing.
Where else can you go
Hmm.
other than inside? And
Hmm.
when you're so almost like forced to face yourself, you find lots of love. Oh, long time no see.
Been a week, right?
Feels it feels really long. Like really
I
long.
was
Maybe because
I
I
was
woke up very early. Ah,
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like we could do two a week. I'm like, I don't know.
we tried it, but I have a question for you before we dive in. Are you noticing getting attached to this space?
I felt it this morning when I was reading it because it talks about death in 38,
Hmm.
and I was thinking about our perseverance and like how much, yeah, like how much I like this space and this talk and this experience. And I was like, okay, 38, we're almost to 40. And then I started thinking about the end, and I'm like, I don't want it to end.
I had the same exact thought. I was like, oh my God, I want to talk about the ending because it's coming up.
Yeah.
And yes, we have like 20 more weeks or whatever, 25 more weeks. I can turn it to 35. But there's something about it that is 2 years later so becoming me, or I didn't identify with it as I own it, but rather than I need it. Now I'm
Yeah.
attached to it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So we can't
So
stop.
what to do with it? Yeah. Where do we go after 64?
Big
We'll
magic.
we'll figure out when we're there. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And almost like trusting it again, again. But yeah, I noticed that because I think we've done this consecutively in the couple of weeks already. Usually I just bounce out, so I give it a little space. But no more bouncing. I'm here in LA and I'm gonna stay here until the end of the year. Romeo, move, buddy. Go eat. Scratch your ass someplace else, not behind me. And I
Yeah, so
think
you're good for the
uh,
rest of the year then. That's 3 months.
unless I have an itch to bounce, but I am really loving the summer in LA,
Mm.
loving it. And we're getting slammed by the heat. So I'm like, there's just, I don't know, something about LA feels very homey to me at the moment. So I decided
Mm.
not to go anywhere. I'd rather enjoy it. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, that should put us in the right around 50 at the end of the year. So,
Oh, yeah. Oh, so we are carrying this over to the next year. Yes.
yeah. Well, we have to finish. Yeah, we have to finish.
We will finish. But then there are options. We can talk about Venus sequence. We can talk about the codon rings, which is totally the area that I don't even know how to dive in. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
anyway, welcome.
Yeah, anyway.
Welcome. How are you?
Uh yeah, just processing. Like it's funny with 38, I sent you a text, a screenshot of the book, and something came up when Carly and I had like a vacation. We went and got massages and had some time. And in that time, this shadow showed up. I'm like, fuck. But I didn't know about it. I'm like, was processing with Carly, and I said, I'm gonna go see what Jinky it is this week. And I went and looked at the shadow. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So spot on.
And what was so spot on?
Okay, so well, first tell me how you are, and then I'll dive in.
Well, the shadow has been a shadow for the whole damn week for me. Yeah, I had a week of big struggles, inner struggles. So, yeah, I mean, I guess we can maybe just talk about it throughout the thing, but it's
Hmm.
been a tough week for me. Very
Hmm.
tough week.
I'm excited to dive in.
Yeah.
I'll open with my experience here, which so we booked back-to-back massages, and I thought we were gonna have the kids. So the plan was to go to a friend's pool, and like I would swim with the kids, and then she would get a massage, and then we'd flip-flop. Turns out she had a babysitter, so we didn't have the kids at all. So we were just kind of hanging out in the pool, and it was like such a beautiful day, really enjoying the stillness and the peace. And then I got a massage, and it was wonderful. And then she came out, and then she wanted to continue hanging out. And I was just like feeling like I'm a little bit hungry. I want to see the kids. And I tend to do this more. Like she could take all the break in the world, and I'm like, I just love my boys. Um, and it's probably more of a attachment, like not as healthy, but it is what it is. And so she's like, okay, we can go back home. Let's just stop and do one more thing. And on the way in during the drive, we were talking about the massage, and we've had so many massages over the years. When we traveled to Thailand, they were like three to $10 for a massage. So we got them like every day. When we lived in Korea, we'd get one every month, and then it's just something that we really enjoy. And the tendency when we talk about or when we have a massage is to compare it to all the previous experiences,
Hmm.
which I knew the trap going into it. I was like, I don't really want to like judge how great this was. And she's like, well, what about this point? And then we started getting into it. And then I started to notice like now I'm nitpicking. Now I'm saying things and I'm like, I'm not even sure if I believe what I'm saying. I'm just kind of like, since you're asking, this could have been better, or this could have been more pressure, or I feel like, yeah, you just get into it and it's like you have a good meal and then you start to compare it or try to rank it or sex or a movie or a book, and then it just takes away from takes away from the
Hmm.
moment, what you're doing. And so I started to feel this emerging sense of like self-loathing, like I don't enjoy the critical side of myself. I don't enjoy hearing the voice of judgment or
Hmm.
comparison. So then I'm like kind of like stewing in that. And and it just leads into like I start nitpicking Carly. I'm like, well, why did you say that? Or like, you know, not really liking the energy you're giving me right now. Can we shift it? And she would respond well to my request, and then I would still have some. I'm like, but still not. I'm like, still not quite there yet. Can you? And then I'm like, what is happening? And she got to a point of like almost shutting down before I was like, I'm struggling. I was like, I'm reflecting back to when I took a long road trip with a previous girlfriend down to Florida, and the whole time in the car was just a huge fight. And it just kept evolving and escalating, and I just kept drumming up the same thing over and over and over again. And I just said to Carly, I'm like, I'm sorry. This seems like a pattern. I don't know why it's happening. Like it was it was so weird for me to because I'm still in the moment feeling completely justified or completely like validated for whatever story's being created. But it's almost like I was able to separate out from my experience to just say, like, to just be like, not enjoying this. I don't know what's happening. I'm sorry. I'm gonna just put a cap on it. And then still was very embodied in like the struggle. And
Mm,
she was like, "Oh, thank you." She's like, "My gosh." She's like, "Yeah, I don't know what's going on with you either, but it's not good." And we just kind of sat with it together and just reflecting on that road trip experience and how horrible I was in that and like, okay, yeah. And then thinking about my mom, uh, my relationship with her and how like this is very prevalent and with my close family, how this is like everything. Like we just nitpick, we fight, we banter, we argue. Even in our
mm,
group chat, like I haven't seen them in person in 2 years, and in the group chat, my mom and dad are like picking on each other. It's just like a modeled behavior.
mm,
And when I opened this up and I saw a fight without purpose, I'm like, that's what it feels like.
mm,
And to not have, there's like nothing to anchor it to. And that's what's so unsettling is because you find yourself like in this turmoil, in this tornado. And like Carly does such a great job. I'm sharing what I'm seeing as a struggle, and she just is very gracious. And then I feel the tornado slowing down, which feels like death or it's like crisis. And so I have to like spin it back up.
mm.
So, yeah, that's what happened.
Okay, many questions. When you, so how is your relationship to you when you are in that state?
Yeah, it's complex. Like I said, initially there's like an escapism and then if there's some self-awareness in the moment, it's it's almost like disgust or I'm almost annoyed with myself or
Mm.
it's just so uncomfortable. Like you want to jump out of your skin.
Yeah. And you see, these states are exactly where I think they show up so they can get to our awareness for us to change the way we relate to them. And this
Hmm.
is where the sense of forgiveness and kindness and self-kindness and self-love starts to like almost like come to be birthed, to
Hmm.
come to slowly feel a little bit different. So the whole week or that specific example is such a good example of yes, we can tap into the shadows. Yes, they will always be there. Yes, we can work endlessly all our life here to try to discover them, to try to embody them, to try to befriend them. We're kind of doing that. That's, like sooner or later we will have to face those sides of us. But it's really, are you in that such a destructive process? In those moments, we're only talking about moments. There's so much fragility. It brings tears to my eyes. There's so much fragility of your own self
Hmm.
that that compassion, self-compassion, if we don't have it, or you have Carly who's able to mirror this to you in front of you, but oftentimes, how do you learn the language of self-compassion to know that, oh my God, I'm a human and I will make mistake. Oh my God, I will fuck it up like all kinds of sides. But how do I learn to love that part of me too?
Hmm. Hmm.
especially when heavy emotions like that disgust, shame,
Yeah.
rejection, loneliness, abandonment. You know, those are heavy,
Yeah.
heavy
Hmm.
emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. And often it's like I just need to be able to sit in noticing what's happening is like just to have a moment where I can just like lay down and feel what I'm feeling. But I think it's interesting that I find myself driving being a trigger, like driving a car, is because I was thinking about this the other day or last night because we're all driving home from the beach and the kids in the back were just like nighttime energy just going crazy. And I'm like, a car is such an interesting place for a human to be because it's very safe, seemingly safe when you're in it, and it's a tight, closed container, but you're speeding down this road, and if you make a tiny mistake, everything could end. So you're like, it's a very strange mix. And I think when I'm driving a car, I'm having to control in a sense, and control is a key aspect here. But then it's almost like, well, you have control, maybe, like it feels like control, but you don't really have control. Like you never truly have control over what might happen to you or how quickly you approach death or the like, like the larger aspects of the fears that we hold on to. And so it's like I just need time and space to process the fear and to feel it and to let it be a part of me instead of denying it because um
Yeah.
yeah.
And you know, what your spiral that you're talking about, this like spinning wheel that never stops.
Hmm.
And here's the best part. We're aware that we're in a spiral, that we're in a cycle, that there's a tornado going on, going on, going on. And there's no sense of it ending, right? You don't know when it's going to end, though you know it will end. It's not going to stay there forever. So that to me pulls me out of it. Okay, it's just a state. I'm not going to react. If it even lasts the entire week, I'm just going to sit with it and see what it wants and figure out because it must end. And I've done this so many times that now I know there will be one day I wake up super refreshed out of
Yeah.
it. I know. And at this point, all I have to do is just learn about it. One thing. And the second, we zoom in this spiral so much as if the spiral is going into that spot of the eye and no bigger picture is on the horizon. You can't see the
Hmm.
purpose. What you said earlier, it's almost like you're fighting as if you're sitting in this little tunnel and it's kind of shrinking on you so much that you feel suffocated because it's so zoomed in
Hmm.
that you can't see the purpose.
Hmm.
And I love this saying, when in doubt, zoom out. But in the eye, I cannot see the bigger. I can't even spin the spiral from the start to go up and kind of open itself up to the bigger picture. So, what is your process of finding the higher purpose in everything that is happening so subjectively, so zoomed in
Hmm.
to you as a, this is where victim and hero have a very different,
Hmm.
opposites.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a key process I go through, but I think I can develop one based on what I experienced last night, which is I came and found the gene key and I saw the 38th shadow struggle, a fight without purpose. I took a picture, I sent it to you, and then I walked the book out to Carly. I showed it to her and we both just laughed. And it was like laughing at my
Release.
expense, but in that moment having the higher picture of like okay. it's comical how petty and how trite and how this shadow is showing up. Um, but also like the laughter too is about the synchronicity. Like, oh, well, of course, we're doing this Jinky this week. Um,
So good.
yeah. So I don't know how to like put that into a step by step program, but but some way to kind of like for me, I think making the pain comical or kind of like having the cosmic perspective, which is comical, and being able to laugh.
Mm.
But yeah, at first I just needed to recognize and acknowledge and say it out loud. And I think that was key because it didn't, once I said that, it was a matter of 3 minutes where I felt the unwinding happened without the anxiety of needing more. It just kind of unwound on its own.
Yeah. And it's like it comes to your awareness that you are stubborn, persistent in this fight, that it leads nowhere. It comes to your awareness that it's growing and it's kind of almost toxicating the entire point, the entire event, everybody around. You're almost like sucking in this misery finds the company very easily. And then you voice it. And it's not the step by step to follow. I'm just saying, many, many ways to get out of it, to jinx your yourself out of it, right? So, but it takes time. And the best part is that it does need time for it to really pin you down.
Mm,
And it's comical on the other side when you exit the entire event. But when it's grilling you like that and your ass is on fire, legit fire, it turns out it is funny in the end and paradoxical. But what a beauty that you tap so much of such extremes in order to come to a simple, very simple realization of, wow, I am human.
yeah.
I get to be mad. And in my madness, burn in my own agony, burn everybody around, and learn from it. And it will not repeat itself again the same way in the same event because you'll catch yourself because now this time was burning so much. But do we have capacity to pull ourselves from such extremes and how these extremes are very helpful for us to come to that quicker realizations and to actually change,
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
Mm. So,
Yeah.
what?
And I'm
Oh, go ahead.
just real quick. I'm grateful for the awareness itself because without it, like I think back to that trip to Florida, which was like 20 some hours in the car both ways. And I don't think I ever got out of it. I think I was in it the whole time.
Mm.
And I
What do you
remember
mean?
being in that space for an extended period of time, and it's pretty horrible. So just the awareness itself, just to say out loud, like, I don't know what this is. I'm not enjoying it. I'm just gonna sit with it. Like that is the key. You know, how you move on the other side of it is gonna be based on where you're at, but just to have the that moment to acknowledge it is huge.
Yeah. And really, what keeps me on track to allow it to happen is that I know it will end. Eventually, the pain is no longer going to be there. The grief is no longer going to be there. The fear, it's just going to dissipate that specific spot. The anger, the lust, the desire, it actually cycles over and over again. So, what keeps me aware or almost like tuned into what I'm feeling is that it's a temporary process. I'm meant to
Mm,
go through it. It's showing itself through me. And let's just see what comes out of it without me
mm,
reacting to it. And I think the reaction, I always come back to Vipassana. It's almost like sit still for 3 hours, don't do anything. Don't move. Don't let it go. Let it burst through you. Let it go
mm,
through the electricity passing through your body. Allow it to turn you on, to turn the parts on that are angry, painful, grieving. Allow it and don't do anything. and then it passes
Mm.
by, which is wow. And you know, when you want to do something so bad
Hmm.
and you know it's not a good thing to do,
Yes.
and you literally like, as this emotional hunger, I'm coming back to Carly's emotional hunger. It's like you really need this
Hmm.
sweet little pancake and cupcake. You really want to get that sweet in your mouth, and instantaneously you will feel relief.
Yeah.
But really, can you sit with this? And rather than taking action to eat the sweet, see how far you can actually sit and almost feel the burning of this
Mm.
despair of your feeling. Like, feel it and see what happens. And I think this is where I played this week with it. I had this burning desires. I have massive amount of desires coming through me, and also pain from not getting it because I wanted
Mm.
to control it, not getting my point across because I wanted to be seen,
Mm.
and almost like missing this part of me that I'm now learning how to live without. It was so consuming that everything about what I create, who am I, the purpose, everything was gone. I couldn't see anything. And I'm like, holy shit, this is so uncomfortable. And last night I wasn't hungry. My entire biology actually changed. I was so dysregulated that I couldn't even believe that my body can chemically alter itself so much because of whatever is passing through. And I sat last night and ate the dinner. I didn't even want to eat.
Mm.
And I just sat there and I sat and I'm like, I'm trying to chew this like a dead
Mm.
zombie, like without any life in it.
Hmm.
And I'm like, what will suit me? What will suit me? Should I watch another episode of Sex and the City or trash TV or whatever? No, no, no. Nothing actually suited it until I sat with it and I laughed it. And
Mm.
sitting in it at some point, and it doesn't really happen. Like you said, there's no steps A to Z, but rather than I try, I actually am versatile in trying different things so that I can see what sticks with it. And while
Mm.
I'm trying, I'm actually finding it comical that I'm so desperately searching to fix it, actually being nice to myself and kind. Maybe I can read this. Maybe I
Right.
can take a bath or self-soothe that way. But in reality, what I'm trying to do is soothe and try to actually get out of the pain
Mm.
that I'm currently feeling. And it's on the other side, once it passes, it's really comical and it's funny, but also it's, gosh, is it such a fragile process?
Yeah.
And you're doing this with someone who is actually witnessing you. So you're almost like double dipping yourself in being first embarrassed and ashamed. So
Hmm.
there's like another layer of someone witnessing you. So you really have to have someone who, like Carly, is like, oh, thank God, we're not going to pay attention to it, right? So it's not like big deal, but allowing you space to open yourself up so you can tune into your needs, tune in to what is happening. Like, why am I in agony?
Mm. Yeah.
I digress, but yeah. Mm.
Yeah. You're just, I mean, when you're sharing your talking of desire and the strength of the feeling and all these attempts to satiate it, I'm like, it's almost like whatever you say right now, I'm like fully embodying. So I'm just, that's why I'm just over here going, mm.
And I
Ah.
wonder, why do we have such a, I mean, of course, he's talking about this. It's very genetically, like it's in our genes to fight for something, to survive, to go and grasp it so much and kind of take it, right? Fittest, I mean, survival of the fittest. And it's so in us, programmed deeply by birth.
Hmm.
And to learn how to do, and we can't really get rid of it. It's there, it's always going to be there. But really, what can we do to change?
Ooh, okay. A thought or a possibility. Which this just came up this week as well as I was browsing Instagram and there's a brother from Hawaii who he kind of just teaches like men how to be men appropriately using aloha and something they call ku, which is related to like your mana, like your power. And they were discussing this Hawaiian version of the haka, which the haka is the New Zealand warrior dance that they do before the like the All Blacks rugby team. Have you seen this?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you're gonna love it. But there's a Hawaiian version which is called the ha'a, and it's essentially channeling the warrior and the archetype of the warrior. And in Hawaiian, it's called ali'i, like the chiefs. And so they channel it into mo'olelo, which is dance movement. And so it's a dance, and they're like shouting and they're channeling, and it's just like rage and intensity, and they just bring it in. And I've always had such a strong pulling to this expression and this like tie, this lineage, the ancestral, like there's a very, very primal, tribal way to do it. But I'm like, man, there's so much power there. Take, I would love to be a part of it somehow. I don't know if that would ever come up in my future, but I'm gonna be so grateful if it does. But in this, it's like you you give expression to like this genetic desire, right? This longing for the warrior, the spirit of the warrior to come out. And you, often in like these states of deep struggle that I get into, I'm just contemplating right now, and it's like often I just feel like closed in. It's the fear, and I'm reacting to it, and I'm directing it towards the wrong thing. I'm directing it towards a loved one, and I'm being nitpicky, and I'm pulling out things that are not even true. And it's like, what if I just took the energy that I'm feeling and found an expression for it that was not directed toward an individual. It's just directed toward like the story of my ancestors and just the raw desire and the feeling of like, okay, we have this fear. What do we do with it? How do we move it? And how do we process? How do we act in the world? And yeah, I think that's a possibility is like movement. And in a way, too, you can see it. It parallels the Layla Martin stuff, which is movement, sound, and breath. Because I mean, you're using breath to sing and to dance and to, yeah.
Yeah,
My
and
wheels are spinning here. Sorry.
yeah, and these are like the known ways to calm your body down so you can think straight and actually like almost like think the way that you react to be more purposeful rather than purposeless, or more constructive rather than destructive. Because when we're so dysregulated in this spiral, we really cannot think the good from wrong, right? So the breath work, the movement, the filter, the almost like the pipe that you want to exit, then put this energy into it. It's like knowing what is destructive, what is not destructive. How can you construct this energy and turn your pain into the strength, right? So like almost like source your pain, source your strength through the pain and vulnerability, and all these like power dynamics that are inside, or these forces actually. It's a primal force you're talking about. And
Mm,
this is where it lives through all of us. And this is where it comes and embodies us sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. And we're always trying to figure out what is it, where is it coming from, what does it want, what it's almost like we always try to understand it. But you know, I was reading this morning Big Magic, and she talks about the idea as its own entity. And I really like that perspective because all these forces that are coming in as a force of idea or inspiration, they're just like almost like showing through your body as the part of whatever there is around us. So even that anger, even that grief, even that, like imagine it like this is how I'm processing it. It's like I'm imagining it, processing it through me because I have the capacity and availability to hold it and to
Mm.
allow it enough space and freedom to express itself out. Yes, now I'm aware that I'm not going to turn around and kill everybody around me, but I'm
Yeah.
aware that something is happening inside my body, in my microcosm, and it's replicating who knows what and where. And I don't have to understand it all the time. But rather than, this key is so heavy to me because he almost absorbs all of this. And he actually, I just get chills when I talk about this. When I read it, I first connected with the shadow, couldn't connect with the gift, and couldn't connect with the CD until the end. And then I saw the
Yeah.
humbleness of this key because it sucks all the pains in.
Hmm.
And this is like where, and I actually know I know a person who has this jinky, and it makes me even love more,
Hmm.
accept more of somebody who embodies this so much in, and where it turns into the gift is all actually knowing that is the conduit to transform the pain into the gift of perseverance and hold a massive amount of struggles and pain and suffering and fear and tragedy and everything inside of you. And you can think of this not only on a physical level, but also soulful level, also emotional level, also intellectual level, to actually absorb the heaviness and not do anything about it rather than persevere in it, tap into the heart and turn it into the CD of it. To me, how is this even possible for a human being to do this? How
Yeah.
can you kind of absorb massive amount of pain and actually not react to it rather than take it in as a breath, process it, and still keep your heart open? This is out of my possibility to comprehend. Yet I know
Mhm.
a person and I can tell. Yeah, I don't know. It made me love that person even more,
Yeah.
way more.
Yeah. Yeah. Because to be able to do that, yeah, I'm envisioning like the warrior with the shield. And part of having the shield up is you don't really see, you can't really see their face. You can't really see like, and they're in that battle stance. If they're taking this on, they're persevering in transmuting the darkness, then you can't see it as fully. Sorry, there's some cats fighting right outside. Speaking of fighting, um,
Yeah.
where do they where do they have it? Do you remember the
EQ.
Oh,
Yeah. And you know, what's interesting is that this one, and I just have it here and I've been reading it, you can actually see from these three shadows, 28, 38, and 39, how struggle and resistance allow you to diagnose whether you are fulfilling the true purpose of your life. In this sense, they can be extremely useful. And I remember 28 and 38 where you had to do the 39th, but it's almost like, what are you resisting against? What are you pushing against? Right? It's almost like you're forcing something. You're forcing your own agenda rather than actually taking it and allowing it to flow in the nature that it is.
hmm.
What was it? 28th? I forgot.
I think the city was immortality. I don't remember the purposelessness, totality, immortality. Oh, I love that one.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did this
embracing
in
the
May.
dark side.
Yes, and we did this in full moon in Scorpio. How funny. On the day of the full moon in Scorpio. I wrote it here.
Hmm.
So exactly, embracing your darkness. It's almost like, but are you, like, and these two or three shadows almost like initiate this fear. And I admittedly we're actually really grateful. I became very grateful that I don't have this shadow. But
Yeah.
yet, like it humbled me to know someone who does, to see the amount of inner work that they're here to do,
Mm.
to contribute to the collective. And it's just like I am out of words for it.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting that 28 I connected with really strongly. Like I felt I'm like this is super good. And like you said, the gift you with this one, the gift in the city you had a hard time connecting with until the end, and I felt the same way.
mm,
I'm like the shadow is really clear to me, very strong, and I'm like sometimes I'll read through the gift in the city and I'm like what is this about? Like what are like I can't grasp the context or the content. Um, but I'm like, why am I struggling with that? But I can conceptualize or really grasp onto totality and immortality. And I feel that, as we talked about in the early days of our talks, if you're if you're really in the shadow, then you have a hard time seeing the gift in the city. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's an opportunity for me to deepen into this a little bit more and do another round of acceptance that the shadow is showing up.
yeah. And in the end of the day, that's come down to how well you know every other system of intelligence inside of you other than your mind, which is intellect.
Hmm.
And how do you tune into your body, to your heart, into your energy, into your soul, into your awareness, into your boundaries, and so how well do you learn this language of self? And how well do you actually know body parts? Like all the parts of your body and all the organs inside your body, and what is their language that is talking to you. So here, when I moved to gift to read this gift, it says this, it's almost like the nature of the fight changes, because when you change from fighting from the heart versus fighting from the mind, and you and I talked about this a lot in
Hmm.
this Jinky series, it's almost like what part of you is speaking and from where are you acting out? And is your fight and action and reaction the same when you react from your mind because something has to be the way you think it needs to be? So extreme, so fixated, so stubborn, so your way and no way? Or is something actually opening space for someone else to enter and be together with you at the same time? And that tunement into your almost like your coherence, but not only of the heart coherence in the frequency, but like your layered coherence when you're like, oh, I'm feeling differently. There's a certain knowing, there's a certain trust. There are these qualities in me that are alive right now because I am everything below and
Hmm.
not just the top of the iceberg, which is what I see, what I hear, what I smell, and all these different things, right? So I'm not just the top, I'm deep down into my being of what holds me actually as the iceberg. So I'm not the tip of it, I am the depth of it.
Hmm.
And and coming back to the spiral, when we zoom out, when in doubt, and we see a different, the purpose makes sense. But if the purpose is like like then your tip of the iceberg, your mind becomes has a different perspective and different information to then stop thinking what it thinks and start thinking differently, and that's the open-mindedness. But when I'm in coherence, and here's the beginning of our talk today, is that we are so attuned into the space into this space. But we can only do that when we're tuned into what we're feeling.
Hmm.
So, next, when you sit and you struggle, and in front of you is Carly, for example, and she is witnessing you through your struggle, she's able to take your struggle because she's tuned into her attunement. Her layers are in her truth. And, like how well, this is another layer I'm talking about, how well are we tuning into each other where we allow someone else's struggle to become opportunity for them to take space, not feel judged, not feel corrected, yet take the process of 7 days if he has to, while I'm still tuned into sitting in my own truth. But this
Hmm.
happens head down, not
Hmm.
in the head.
Yeah. Yeah. And he says like using breath here. These are people who have learned to draw breath before they rush into some new action. It's not so that they can think, it's simply to make sure they're responding from truth rather than reacting from fear or anger. And it's like the breath reconnects us to the body, to the whole system. And and the breath quiets the mind. I mean, when we do any sort of breath work exercise, like I tend to feel almost like my body takes the space away from what my mind was occupying. And that emptiness, it feels so like refreshing and cool and yeah, beautiful.
But
But
you see, oh, go ahead.
yeah, I was
I
just
want
gonna
to give
ask
us credit for something.
where where truth can't really be sourced from the mind. Do you feel that?
Yeah. When the truth is so much more than what
Hmm.
mind thinks it is. It's actually everything the mind cannot think of,
That's wild to think about.
right? And to give us the credit, we live in this world as Pisces a lot. This is
Yeah.
why we're very embodied. We actually feel a lot and we're able to tune into everyone's energies to
Hmm.
source if like you can feel someone else's bullshit, can you? When they're
Yeah.
not in their truth. There's a sense of it, and the sense is very clear. So it's almost like, but you can also be aware, like I think, oh gosh, because we live in a higher realms, for us to zoom out for a higher purpose is easier than for many other signs. I mean, many other, I guess, depends on where you have a natal chart, but my mind, I think the reason, more and more I understand why I learned astrology is because my mind needs some sort of logical explanation. So I give my mind astrological meanings that are mythological to a much higher story that it's sitting behind that I'm feeling. So I can never translate it into the words enough to satisfy my mind. But I I I understand the difference between someone living on the earth, right, and being so grounded and so in the body and so this, that, and not being able to actually exit out there and find a higher meaning. This is where that opposites of funneling in versus, like changing how things are hierarchically structured in your field is also like very, very fascinating. So to me, not everybody is meant to do the same role. Everybody's meant to do a different role.
Yeah. Totally. And there's a couple women on YouTube who have been teaching Gene Keys mixed with astrology and human design. And I've been trying to like catch up to where they're at. And I just watched the one today on 38. And it's so structured and so like concrete and so defined that almost like whether this is my Pisces or whatever, I'm just like, I don't know if I really want to adopt that. I'm not sure I want to learn it. And there's an element too of like astrology. as little as I know, it's like it's still very mutable in a sense, or it's almost like you can select a viewpoint quite easily within it. Like you can be like, well, we can look at it this way. But if you combine it with all of the elements together, and if you were to really try to map out, like if you take a person and you're like, we're gonna map you, astrology, human design, gene keys, and you're gonna have all the answers. You're probably gonna go through the whole thing and wind up at the end feeling like you have less answers than you did at the beginning. Maybe a small sense of direction. Um,
Mhm.
but for a personal example, like when you did my natal chart reading, you're like, hey, your north node is, I think I forget. I think it's Capricorn, but
Oh, good point.
meaning like, okay, you're gonna be having a shift here in a few years towards business, bringing people together, doing this sort of thing. And just that little node, I'm like, okay, okay. And then I can't help but start acting on it or like start trying to create a story around it. And so I start
Yeah.
to tell Carly about it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be more business oriented. I'm the guy now. And it's funny how life is like you even if it's true, you realize that it's like still years away. Like I'm 34 now. So like we still have some time. And then I end up kind of going into, okay, now I'm doing more creative pursuits and it's just
Mm.
like you on the time scale of what it means to be a human over our lifetime. There's so much there's so much like just swimming that we'll do. There's so much meandering, wandering, exploring, and I'm almost feeling like this sandpaper type of sensation when I think now about a defined set or like this is this is the life path or like this is the answer to all of it and
Mm.
to live in mystery is one of the greatest experiences I feel in being in my body and in being human. And so, yeah, a roundabout way to say we are all different. We all have different perspectives. And I feel like it's interesting how us two Pisces are doing a podcast on contemplation. And it's so like non-structured.
Yeah.
And for us to try to create this outside structure of like, let's offer the space. We're so spacious that we're having a hard time even defining the boundaries or the borders or what it can look like.
Well said. And I think this is how we evolve
Yeah.
by having enough space to feel and breathe, meaning I want to be able to be exactly what shows up through me. And I want to
Mm.
embody it in the moment when it does. This is why can't wait for us to talk about this because she did say that inspiration comes in, knocks on your door when it wants, and then it
Yeah.
leaves.
Hmm.
And
If,
for us to, go ahead.
yeah, if you're not ready to take it on, right? It's like
Yeah.
the idea comes and it has to have you fully engaged with it in order for it to run with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the momentum. Right. And we talked about this momentum, and I talk about it because I have it in my Jinky. I think it's whatever, 40th, or I can't remember. It's like you almost like the momentum of the ball just slowly tapping into it and taking its own speed. And if I don't jump on that train, the idea is gonna dissipate. Inspiration will move, love will turn on someplace else. And I had this exact examples when the gift falls into my lap, even the gift of desires, gift of connection, gift of merge, gift of potential. Like I call these qualities that are not logical to my mind. They will fall into my lap. I either do them alone or I have them shared with someone else. And if we, this is why I always say the time is running out. There's an innate sense in me that for such moments and such qualities, time is not infinite and it's not forever. It is now. And this now is almost like inhaling, as if imagine if the inhale of the breath,
Mm.
the deep inhale is a 3 year worth of work.
Hmm.
And your inhale, you're not going to just stop in the beginning, right? So it's almost like you want to learn how it feels, but you have to be consistent in it. You have to get into that momentum. And it is in my pattern or my life, it had proven me over and over again that the moment I give up of it, the moment I stop is the moment it will give up on me too. It's
Hmm.
not going to sit there and wait for me to make up my mind, and it's going to land someplace else. And this is why I love the essence of love that comes to be experienced. And it comes in a knock between two specific blends. And it wants to taste itself between two people. Love as an essence, not love as lust or sex. I'm talking about essence. And it wants to experience itself in that quality. And if I'm ready and you're not, it's not ours.
Hmm.
By the
Hmm.
time I wait for you to fix your traumas and stuff like that, no. But that's if you're stuck in the past or if you live in a future, but not in a moment. In this moment, it's ours. And it's only our and unique to us to experience it. And if I believe in it and you don't, then we can't, it's gone.
Hmm.
And experienced this with our with the novel and the daily MDIs. And I'm like, something about this structure really does not want me to continue. As if I can sense that he wants to have a freedom to show up when he wants and he disappear when he wants. And the moment I leave the structure and boundaries outside, and I said, you know what, you're free to not show up today.
Yeah.
But I am going to show up for you. And if you're not flowing through me, then I'm not going to write anything. I'm not going to force you to do something, right? But I want to show up for you. And I'm going to give you the time that I feel I am ready for. And if you show up, you show up. If you don't, then you don't.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what happened today, like this week too, through that. It's like I couldn't write for life.
Yeah.
I wrote nothing. I wrote, as a matter of fact, I wrote no poem, no page. My writing just stopped.
Yeah. It'll be it'll be interesting to see what evolves next for you in that because and we can't really know. Maybe you have an instinct or an intuition about what might come, but
Well, I think I actually don't have an instinct, but what I feel is I need to find it, right? So she talks about doing work. And my work in this sense is trying to find the outlet that it wants to express itself through.
hmm.
And it can be silence, reading, walking, doing puzzles, simple things, drawing, questioning, contemplating, asking different questions, showering at a different time. I even changed the timing that I'm doing it for. But it's my job to try to find the outlet for it to come and show up. It's like I almost think of it as a feng shui. It's
Yeah.
in feng shui, if your front door is cluttered with bullshit and so much trash, energy cannot come in freely inside of your house,
Hmm.
right? So it's like you have to declutter and open your doors and your windows for the flow to come in and feel welcomed inside your house. And that I can do. And if it doesn't want to come in, then I have to deal with rejection, which is a whole
Yeah.
another different thing.
Hmm. Yeah. 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 It's wild because just a couple months ago, I would tell people that I'm a writer, and I really haven't been writing at all recently. I mean, I'll write like my YouTube scripts, but it doesn't feel like that's the primary thing that I'm doing anymore. So it's like Hmm. Even the
Well,
labeling,
yeah.
you know, like what
And let me ask you
identity
this.
we take in.
Why did
Yeah, go
why
ahead.
did this last this long?
Oh, you mean you and me?
Hmm. Just this simple.
Yeah, because it's so open. Like there isn't a lot of there isn't a lot of requirements. We don't even have labels. Like like what are we doing? Like or roles. We don't have roles. We don't have like designated, okay, you lead and then I respond and then maybe you do the gift. Like we have nothing. We just go in. And there's even been weeks where we don't even touch the gene keys and we kind of laugh. We're like, should we post that one or redo it? But just having the space to be able to, it just frees up both of our spirits to just engage in it and just see what's there. And I think, and I think maybe more than like saying I'm a writer is just to call out like the human aspect of what we're actually doing all the time, which is I'm a creator. And you're like, oh, what are you creating? Well, right now I'm creating this. So maybe 3 months ago I was creating a book, but now I'm creating uh like cinematic experience or a, photography experience, or I'm really into reading. Like somehow reading is sparking my creativity, or cooking or dancing. There's so many aspects. But maybe is this just the Piscean way? Is this just our personality types, or is this true for all people?
Well, it does help to be Pisces in this way, but I also think it is that sense of freedom inside. And like, and actually funny, I wrote about this to learn this morning. To learn the freedom, you first need to learn your own limits. It's like what makes you limited?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
makes you contract? What is that you mind, right? It's almost like what suffocates you. And once you know that, and as if like the moment you realize this is what limits me, is the moment he actually disappears. As if, like you said, the moment I name it is the moment it doesn't feel so dense anymore, intense, the emotion or anger or questioning or, like spiral. I name it. I feel it. I voice it. I give it an outlet to become. So I feel, and this is new. This is new realization again. You know, nothing that we said on Jinky 1, it remained the truth until Jinky 39. So it does change, it does evolve. We use the limited language anyway. We can't just take it as it sounds. We have to feel our way through it. But I think we allow ourselves time and space to feel free to be. And the more we do this, the more not only do we evolve, the more we feel the need to evolve even more and expand.
Hmm.
So the question from this morning on one of my shorts and podcasts was like, how do you know how far are your boundaries? You don't know where the boundary of your energetic is or your being is. There's no boundary. You can't go to infinity because you don't have a sense for it. But what you can sense is that something is growing inside of you. And that is you. That is you. All of that is you. And it's growing and it's becoming bigger. And suddenly you feel you take larger space. You don't know how much of it, but you feel your quality, yourself, your essence is bigger. You take a bigger posture, you become taller, your body changes, you're more open when you talk, you're like receiving, perceiving, you're accepting, you're welcoming everything. It's like everything about it changes. So the sense of freedom to be, to grow into, to express itself with no judgment, with no fear of being limited or, like slapped on the hand for doing it wrong. This is, I think, what the space and how our nervous system learns how to trust not only the space, but also self and the other. And when we find that outlet, magic happens because you and I never created anything from this space. But what we took from this space was the freedom of expression, the freedom to be, to make mistakes, to say the wrong things, actually, to stand for something that tomorrow we change our mind. But then that freedom, we took it in our lives and then we expanded from it. This is
Hmm.
how I understand what is necessary, what is needed, and how we can tune into ourselves, the space that we share, and also each other. So you and I corrected each other in the beginning a lot. We played devil's advocate, but we no longer do that. It's a big deal. And we no longer do that, not because, you know, we see that the other is right and wrong, but because we actually see our own flaws and how fault we were in thinking one way until we discovered, oh my God, there's another way of thinking, right? So it's almost like we are equally vulnerable, equally faulty, and equally successful in evolution of ourselves. And we just witness each other, literally witness each other. That to me is attunement, and that to me is tuning the energies and allowing it to blend and meet at
Hmm.
the at not on intellectual right and wrong way, but rather than on simply being and becoming.
Yeah. Yeah. And my honest truth is for a while, I didn't really feel equal to you in the capacity, understanding, the knowledge and experience of contemplation, like your coaching experience, just in general, like life experience. Whereas now I wouldn't necessarily use the word equal, but I would I wouldn't question if you complimented me or you acknowledged something about me. Whereas before I would be like, You're just being nice." In my head, I'm like,
Mm.
"You're being kind. You're trying to bring me up to where you are." Um, all that to say, I think to get to that place of equality, or the quality of not seeing one as less or one as more, maybe that's what equality means. I think it takes some vulnerability to and like experience whatever states you're in and then learn that on the other side there's just a deep trust and that the person is just there to hold the space and to not evaluate or judge, to just be there. So like even in my feeling not equal, you would you would prod me a little bit with like, Eric, like you're meant to lead, like you're gonna move forward, like I'm here for you just as much as you're here for me. And that encouragement, but it wasn't like the focus. It was just kind of, sprinkled in here and there. And then the rest of the time, you're just holding whatever comes up for me, which I think is, it's hard to replicate that. Essentially, what enabled me to change was just the amount of space that was given, and for me to evolve into seeing myself on a more equal level was the sprinkling certainly helped, but it was just like, okay, she keeps showing up. She keeps asking to do another one. And just in your energy and your body language and how you talk with me, like this is clearly a value to you. This is clearly something that you're looking forward to. So now it's
Mm.
like I'm building belief beyond just someone amping me up with words. It's just in the experience itself. And so maybe when we open this container that we're contemplating to others, there might be a period of time of that awkward stage in the beginning of like, you know, like, okay, we're going to reframe for you, whoever that is, that this isn't a coach or a teacher relationship. This isn't like a guided, like we're giving you the answers. This is totally just space. And they're like, okay, got it. But there's still going to be like the embodiment, the experiencing of it that plays out over however long it is for each person. Um, but then I think momentum happens like, it trickles in, it goes slow, and then all of a sudden there's an S
Yeah.
curve. And so when you get one or two that can hold that experience, then someone comes into the container and they see all of these leaders with like clearly embodying that this isn't a an hierarchy. It's just open, and then it's just gonna feel naturally more safe, and they're gonna be able to attune to it. So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
I think this is what you said. It's like they're going to be able to attune to it naturally. But this is where that language of knowing comes in. So, it's not for someone to attune and tune into you, they need to be tuned into themselves a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And, to tune into yourself, you need to almost know when you're discomfortable, I mean, uncomfortable, and when you are operating in discomfort. And I always had, I always had this knowing that I will be on stage in front of a large audience. And I've done this before. I actually delivered in front of on conferences. I spoke in front of people. And every time I did that, I always had this burning fire inside of me of total shame and embarrassment. And I'm like, and almost like, oh my God, like I'm gonna say something wrong. I'm red in my face. I'm burning of embarrassment right now because like it's very, nerve-wracking. And almost always I I I know that I'm kind of come to awareness that this is what is happening. And I'm like, you know what? But even if I say something wrong, if I misspell, which often happens that I'm just stumbling on my words and I'm saying wrong things. And even if you laugh at me, because you will laugh at me, it's still me.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what, I love me. And thank you for making me just flawful like this, or not flawless, but rather than imperfect, because it's really cool to feel imperfect. And thank you, right? So it's almost like you come to that conclusion into self-love, and then you almost continue with, but I think that attunement inside to know that these parts are showing up, and it almost like to embrace them and to say, oh my God, like I'm so, to even voice it, to say I'm full of fear right now to speak in front of you. And I have this vision of TED Talk and I have to do it. Like sooner or later, I'm going to be on that stage. And I always had it since my college days that I'm going to go there. I'm going to prepare the entire thing and I'm going to forget all of it. And then I'm going to need to deal with it on my own in that 20 minutes of talk. And it needs to come out from some other part of me. And to do that, it's so fearful. And I'm almost not even thinking about it. I'm putting it on the side because I'm acknowledging it. It's part of it. But one day that exact thing will happen and I will be ready to take it and be like, you know what? Like we can just laugh at it because I'm laughing at it.
Mm-hmm.
And also that perfection to imperfection, and that like having a perfect teeth rather than, like having a little cricket tooth that wants to come out. It's actually your authenticity that shows up, your originality and who you are. So when we tune in and we love all our imperfections, that's when people can actually tune into us as well. And that to me is new language. It is the language of how you make love. Actually, how intimately you can be with yourself and how intimately you can be with another in such a space that it's just so two worlds together and everything else disappears. And when you know how to tune into one another and how to breathe in the same frequency and how to attune to someone else's strengths or weaknesses without using the words, is how you tune into everything and everybody around you. He does say this. I'm just going to show you one thing in the, oh, here, I highlighted the CD in the end. It says, huh, it, where is this? One of the, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, in other words, the being of light surrenders itself into the powers of darkness. So more than often, the honor, more often than not, honor is embodied when a stronger force deliberately surrenders to a weaker force. This to me screams the intimacy, screams the way you make love to another human being. As somebody who perceives itself as a powerful masculine, the question is, can you reverse your role and kneel on your knees to surrender to the power of feminine? This is screaming that exact thing to me. So, can you find the attunement inside of you that honors everything that you are, everything that is showing up? And can you tune into someone else's need to honor what is happening inside of them? Can you feel them? Can you not only
Mm.
be empathetic, but can you tune into what is that they need in order
Mm.
to open themselves up to? This is the space that you and I are creating. So whatever that you felt before and you no longer feel, have maybe a part of that exact thing. It's like, if I know what I am and who I am, I'm able to hold the space enough for you to come in and go and come in and go and evolve to be at my level, because we're no different. And if I deeply believe that I'm not different from you, then I'm not better than you, more educated or something. I literally just share space and time with you together. And you can't help but not to feel it too eventually, that you are my equal, right? So
Mm.
that we know how to blend these energies of power and weakness together because we are so attuned to one another.
Mm.
I just
Yeah.
said a whole bunch of words, but all this to say is that there's this new language of tuning into another in the space that it's very possible if you only know how to tune in to yourself, and it comes out of how tuned in you are to me when you're intimate with another person.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. Um, and I'm really mulling over the idea of being of service recently. And I think in my attempt to be of service, however that looks. So I'll just give an example and then tell a story. And then I have a dream to share, maybe to contemplate. We'll see if it's relevant. But um, I was working with a client and we had done like 4 or 5 sessions already, and we kind of laid out a path of this is where you're at and this is where you're gonna go. But the whole time I'm like, you're not in your heart. Like I can sense it. I'm not quite saying it out loud yet, but I'm just sensing like there's just some disconnection. And then what kept showing up is this resistance over and over again. Like, oh, I don't know if this is it. Or can you show me again how this is gonna work out? Or Um, I just talked with my significant other and we're not really sure about the path. It just kept this resistance kept showing up over and over and over again. And it kind of culminated to a point of, I just need space. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I'm not sure. I'm just going to drop it. And then the next time we had an appointment scheduled, I was like, okay, if if I'm to be of service ultimately, then, and I have to give credit to what I've learned from you and what I've learned from the space that we've created with the Gene Key Contemplations and just the continued commitment to what we're doing, because I've learned so much. And I said, okay, if I'm to be of service in this moment, then it doesn't really matter the path that I've laid out for them. And it especially doesn't matter if they're not connected with their heart. Not only that, it's actually doing a disservice for me to push them deeper down this path just because there's an element of like sunk cost fallacy. Like, okay, we've invested this time and this energy and this momentum, we should keep it going. Instead, I reframed it and I said, ultimately, maybe we did all that work just so that you could have a deeper realization and just have a shift. And when I showed up with that energy in that call, there was a shift and there was a moment of like I'm conflicted because I see this path as being very traditional, structured, left-brained. It's proven, many people do it and it works. And then I have this path that's now opened up to me because all of a sudden I'm creating videos and I'm like in speaking for the client, I'm getting like very creative and I'm seeing the creative elements of putting stuff together and it's deeply inspiring. It's like this little piece that's in my heart wants to go this way, but then my brain, everything that's telling me to make a living and this pressure to provide and all this stuff is going this way. And I just allowed her to flesh that out and just gave space. And then on her own, she said, but there's not a way to combine those two, is there? And I said, hey, I don't know, but let's talk about it. Let's go down there. And we came to a beautiful new path, a beautiful conclusion that was able to merge the two. And all of a sudden, before she would say, um, well, like, I just want to know that this path will work. And I'm like, well, you can't possibly know that it's going to work for you. Ultimately, my job, and this is like become my motto now, my job is to connect your heart with your mission and make sure that they stay connected. And ultimately, it will work out in whatever way it like decides to show up. But before, when she was just going down this very structured path, it was, I want to know that this can work for me and that the steps are laid out and that there's a clear map. And um, when she came to the shift, I was like, hey, now it's very clear to me that this will work. Why? Because your heart is in it.
Mm.
It's not it's not that this path will work because I don't know what it's going to look like and I don't know who you're actually going to serve at the moment and I don't know what might shift and change and evolve in the process of you opening more of your heart up to this creative process. But I know that now that you've tapped it and you're willing to engage it and bring it out, I know that this will work. Um, where was I going with that? Yeah, all
Can I
that to
add
say,
something to?
yeah, go ahead.
But you see, what took is you to shift speaking from your heart, to tap into her heart so she can create.
Mm.
And it almost like whenever we lead anybody, it's like out of which part of you you lead,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm.
And is leading from the heart space where everybody can open up and evolve, or is leading from the head, the space when it's just a tunnel that you have to pass through. But
Right.
yet, you're sure there's nowhere else to run other than this. And I
Hmm.
think this is we're slowly evolving into really needing a lot of space to create our own. But and this is where the heart, I've done practices with people that are guiding me from their head. I felt suffocated in my heart.
Mm.
And I was like, stop talking. Stop telling me what I need to do. Damn it. You're
Yeah.
almost ruining, like, I can't. Like, automatically everything shuts down because you're telling me your head. But if you're allowing me, your heart speaks different words. It actually speaks the sound of it, and frequency
Yeah. The
for
tone is different.
transmission is different. Exactly. So
Mhm.
This is where I'm like, if I'm gonna lead anything to anybody, I need to be so in my heart at all times. And I need to show up with that full heart for them to feel me, not hear me, to feel me. And when they feel me, they will hear very different meanings of my words.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah, and
good.
they'll hear. And it's almost like when I was able to tap into my heart, she was able to hear her own. Like it was less of, it wasn't even my voice anymore. It was just like she's hearing her own voice.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So it's super cool.
What about your dream?
So the dream, yeah, I don't know. I had it last night. I woke up with it, and it was like a perceived like evil character that was putting on this experience or this event, and this part of me was saying like, no one else here knows that this is like evil. I don't know how else to put it. It was more like a feeling. It wasn't like a discussion I was having. And so you must resist whatever is being put on you. But I didn't really, it wasn't like I had a path out. It was almost like I had to go through it, go through the motions. Like you're at a party and you don't drink alcohol and you hold the cup and you pretend like you're sipping so that people leave you alone.
Mm,
Um,
let's take
and
a
there
shot.
was alcohol and there was drinks. It was like, drink this. And it was like some part of me was like, this drink will poison your soul. And it, I think that the dream kind of shifted at one point where it was like all of these people and they were like, "Hey, Eric, how come, yeah, how come you're like resisting? Like it's not, it's not what you've been perceiving it." And that was kind of the energy that it ended on. And in looking at this now, and it's like the the light bearer is one that can pull in all the darkness within them and and pers
Mm,
and persevere in that element. And it was, I'm like, okay, maybe my resisting the darkness is actually dimming my light. It was just the way I took it. So,
wow. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Hmm. And I meant to ask this. What makes you want to come back to the space where you lead others? We need to find another word for it. Can't stand it. When
You don't
you're
like lead?
equal. No, because leading means that I'm up
It's like
front
dog on
telling
a
you where to
leash.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to me it's like, and I also cannot be in the midst of the crowd, right? So it's like you need space, but I have this I always told my partners actually, listen, I'm not holding your hand and carrying you behind me. You're right here next to shoulder. As long as we're going in the same direction, we're good. And direction can be this way. It doesn't need
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
this way. But hip to hip, like we're in the same length and we're just like going that way. As long as it's 180 that way, then we're in rather than the opposite, right? We're good to go. But what makes you, how do you, right? So he's talking about purpose, finding that purpose to come back to the space and to come back to your heart.
Hmm.
Have you contemplated this? What makes me want to come back to my heart? What makes me want to come back to the love? To the desire and willingness to love you even if you hurt me, to love you even if you're coming at me with your head, to open space for you even if you're so stuck in the logical, what is the benefit? What am I returning on this investment, right? So what is that thing that keeps your willingness to come back to your heart and find the purpose? What is it? What is it? What is it?
Well, I know the experience of being stuck in my head. I know the pain of not being connected to my heart. in whatever I'm doing. And I would trade it for nothing. This is, it's like just being home and you know
Mm.
it's your home. And so I know when I'm not home and I just desire to go back to it whenever I'm away.
Mm.
And that's what it is for me. And to see like the best, I can't even put into words, but the greatest feeling in the world is because I helped someone connect to their heart and to see the passion and the inspiration and the self-belief like emanate out from them and their light shine because they found the piece that connects. Like, oh, I can make money and be connected to my heart, and it doesn't have to be a separate thing.
Mm.
And for me to help people find that for themselves, and then my heart opens because I'm like, ultimately, if I show up to this talk and this is cut off, you know it now, and you'd rather be somewhere else.
Mhm.
Or you're just like you're trying to pull me back to it as much as possible because you know what it's like. You know the pain of not having it and not being in it. And ultimately, like, and selfishly speaking, it's not fun to talk with someone when they're totally disconnected. It's not, there's no like
Blending.
flavor, right? It's like food for calories. It's like you're eating the meal because you're supposed to versus the raw experience, the raw desire of like, I just want to taste and satiate and salivate, just be in it. Yeah.
Yeah. And what you're saying is reminded me of like, but you feel the growth when you're able to blend in and merge your colors with someone else. You feel you're evolving.
Yeah.
After every talk of ours, it's like there's a sense we both have it, right? So, well, I can speak of myself, but there's a sense of openness and expansive openness. And it's just like almost like it feels evolutionary. It
Yeah.
feels novel. It feels new. It feels growth. It feels a little taller. And like you speak of service to others that feeds you this like food for life, and there's no better taste for you than that. And I wonder, it's beautiful to serve, and here I am saying, but what tastes so good for me is something so unique, so new, almost like drastic, almost mystical.
Mm,
And what feels really good is to push the boundaries outside of my comfort zone, so much so that I can taste the potential. So, do you see the difference between us is also potent, but once we tap into that truth, true authenticity and that uniqueness that's I think where the radiance comes out from, and that's that magnetism and charm, these things that everybody says you can't really learn the charm, but you become charming somehow. Ooh, you're so beautiful. Like I can't help but not to listen to you and adore what you're saying. But this comes as this quality. It's not talent. It's like it's deep inside of each of us.
mm,
And it's different. Everybody has this thing. And you're almost searching all your life for that exact expression
yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
feel yourself, to feel home to you,
Mm,
to familiarize yourself with that part of you, that like that seed.
mm. Yeah. And I want to ask you, it's a little paradoxical. You you tap into it most when you're expanding the boundaries, when you're experiencing something beyond the known, is what you said. Do you feel that with travel or with,
Oh, with my partners.
oh, okay.
I, I can only feel this with another. And
Mm.
I can feel it as my own unique expression where I always question my limits. It's like this edge between crazy and normal is like where I push. So my normal becomes what used to be crazy before. It's almost like I'm pushing that. But when I'm able to expand my own capacity and merge with someone else is where what gets me going. Right.
Mm.
And that is the partner in anything. It can be in intimacy, it can be in conversation, right? So it can be partner, another soul, another energy that wants to come in and blend in to merge enough to emerge something different. And I think through that emergence of the third or of the other is where I learn the parts of me that are possible.
Mm.
And yes, I can go that far alone, but merging it with this is why I'm like my whole life is relationship related. It's
Yeah.
like who I am is who I became because I was relating so deeply, so intimately with souls that I had in my life. And to this day, and for forever of my existence here, I think I will only see my bigger parts and bigger limits if I'm able to deeply penetrate myself with another, which is that blending of no borders or no existence. So, yeah, I went too far with this, but yeah, it's like for the sake of you who's coming in my life in the future, I will learn my boundaries so well so that way I can blend with you until I disappear. And I
Mm.
tap this edges of death when I really desire to just no longer exist. And it is so, I have no words to explain it, but I cannot do this alone. Not
Mm.
yet. Maybe it's a possibility later on, but almost tapping into the edges of your own existence until you no longer want to exist is where, I'm playing.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we're not so different in the sense of like you initially distinguish like, okay, I find it through service and you find it through relationship, but those two are potentially the same thing.
I mean, maybe we can make them the same. Will we know how they feel? I almost wonder, it's like, I think so I am. I feel so I am.
Hmm.
You know?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's like when that feeling, this iceberg, the top down is ooh, a big discovery, a big mystical gnosis, mystical potential of your own. And one lifetime is not enough.
Mm. Mm.
And to get lost in this with someone, and I don't know, can this be done in a threesome or foursome? I don't know, right? So I only experienced this with one on one, intimate things, and almost like when we expand to the three. And we had this on the podcast as well. When the moment someone else enters in, there's less space, meaning
Yeah.
there's bigger space, but less space for your expression, right? So
Hmm.
it's like
Hmm.
we have to kind of figure out how to play with that as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, in that sense, when you're saying you don't like the word lead, I was like, okay, maybe is it like being on stage together? Like, let's all be on the same stage. It's like a space. The only thing is like it's implying that there's an audience that isn't a part of it, which isn't really true. So yeah, it's hard to define it. There's probably no label that can accurately describe it.
Oh, rather than lead.
Yeah, lead or like coach or yeah, guide.
Yeah. I don't know why that it's just an ick to me. It's been an ick.
I think because it implies implies the hierarchy, and then also it's like
Yeah.
it's overused. It's like everyone is a coach now of something, and yeah.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting? I just had another podcast recently, a couple of days ago. And you know, like what these spaces are for, it's like I can tell that they're natural for me to open the space when you can just come and welcome and be. And simply be as complex as you want to, as simple as you want to. And as long as there is not, I tell you what to do and you tell me what to do, the space is open. And the moment something comes in where it says, oh, you should do this, instantaneous disappearance. Like it is so powerful. And then I'm aware of it so much that now I have to put so much effort to come back to kind of crunch it and kind of open it up again so you
Hmm.
can feel yourself in. And I'm catching this so quickly when this unsolicited advice for one another comes in as we know what is best for you for the other. It's like you will
Hmm.
never know what is best for the other. And if somebody wants to do just that service, then your work and your job is to support it, nothing else. It's
Right.
almost like elevated, right? But it's interesting, and I'm noticing this in the room as well. It's like how much of the pumping of each other's energy actually is helpful versus not helpful. When does
Yeah.
it become competitive versus making you feel bad because you're now behind? And when is needed, when it's not needed, and to hold even the space of four is a lot of work to do, right? So I'm noticing the dynamics inside of it. I'm also noticing how I feel about it, and can I actually do this for others? That it's more than just one-on-one intimacy and intimate conversation. So it's like it's
Hmm.
such a powerful play to notice, like, are you expanding or are you contracting? And if so, are you blaming others or is it in you? Do you need time? Is somebody telling you you need to do this? This is why the structure of I have to do something every day, it's killing my entire process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
But I didn't know until I tried.
Yeah. And that experience is worth its weight in gold, right? So without like putting you in a box, how do you feel about offering a container? Like, is it because I have the same thing. Like, initially, Aisha, Beck, and I it was just a group of three. It felt very nurturing. There was like in terms of like the group chat, there was moments where it would just be two and one would step out, and then there was moments where it was all three of us. It felt very natural. It was intimate, but also there's a lot of support there. And then even with four, and when Carly was in with five, I'm like, okay, now it's getting like, because sometimes like between two people it runs on, and then you're trying to catch up, and then you're like, do I even need to catch up? Or you throw in what you did for the day,
Mm.
and you're feeling like not as engaged or not as caught up with what's going on. It's like, how do you, because everybody needs something different at different times, um, while also maintaining some level of like cohesiveness of we're on the same path. So yeah,
Yeah.
where are you at? Where's your heart?
Well, freedom is one of them to come and go. And the other one is whoever, so, firsts are forever. I stand for this. And I wrote it and somebody repeated it to me many times and got back to it and it's truth to me. The firsts are forever. The seconds are when somebody else enters and changes the entire flavor, which changes the entire energy of the concept. So if you're keeping the same concept and it's a marriage, hello, it's the concept of the marriage that has lasted for centuries and yet many flavors came in and nothing works. It needs to evolve in its own. And there's no rigidity. If you're not able, this is how I'm thinking, because this is my first. So to me, it's your second. You are entering, you are sensing a different flavor of the energies in the room, but the concept stayed the same. So what I'm learning from this is like, oh, okay, so I can enter and I can exit. and I have to work with it because I committed to something that I might not be able to deliver, right? So it's my internal process. It's triggering something in me. Great. But if I am to hold the space, I have to be able to adapt the energies. And I go back to all the retreats that I attended, and I went multiple times for the same retreat with the same concept, similar structure, yet the flavor was different because 100 other souls attended the same exact thing over and over again. But what
Yeah.
changed is that whoever holds the energy is adjusting to energy of the collective. So
Hmm.
meaning it's like, is your heart able to be mutable and adjust to the energy of collective so you can hold the energy? Or is your heart rigid in this really? Is your heart rigid? Is your mind set into this has to be the same exact way because it worked last time?
Mm.
So if there's not that freedom to adjust to it, there's no space for others to enter and change it because, like deep down, we want to contribute. We want to change. We
Hmm.
want to evolve through the change, but we also want to participate, right? So I don't know if the container is rigid or if the container is just the same exact concept. And here's in marketing, everybody says, like, do what works. But I can do it and I can die with it, literally, because I feel so suffocated, because it worked for others and I can make the money machine and it's the exact same funnel and concept. Everybody knows it. But if my heart is not in it, I'm dying with it.
Yeah.
And I will just make, and he's talking about this exact thing. It's like, I will make all this money, get to the point and be so empty and not fulfilled because there's no me in it. It
Yeah.
has to have its own sense of like, like flexibility. So to me, freedom is big deal. If I'm to lead anyone, I have to be able to speak out of the freedom for you to be able to come in, have a bad day, exit, and enter. And I have to stand for it really strongly. And I also have to change because I cannot have the rigidity in me. So space itself opens up to so much versatility and so much of this welcoming energy and so much space. Like, can you hold a container that is this is what I realize in a coaching too. It's like I can hold a container based on the structure and the practices, but I have to be able to move them, shake them up, and if not evolve, but innovate with them
Yeah.
according to your energy and according to where you are in April versus where you were in November.
Yeah.
Thoughts? What do you feel about it?
Let's do it. That's how I feel.
Okay, so next week we go live.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. I was thinking, I took a mental note. I looked at the time. It was like 6:35 my time, about an hour in. We started to do some contemplation on the container and we jumped in and out. But I was like, okay, I think making, we kind of talked about how to um like what kind of materials are being offered as just a deeper introspection or maybe it's a trigger. And I feel like we have it. We've gotten into it quite a bit today, so we could just probably just chop this up and pull that out. But in you sharing what you're talking about with can I offer a space and all of this stuff, it's I don't think it's a coincidence that I met with you and we started this podcast, and then it's all about this space in the one-on-one. And then what came out of me doing this with you is when I finally decided to do something with business, it was all about alignment. It was 100% about, is this true for you? And I basically took the principles that I've gathered from Gene Keys and from you and brought them into my world. And people find it so refreshing. They're like, I think this will do really well because there's not a lot of talk around making sure that there's purpose, connection, and heart in the products and in the service offerings. And even, like you said, and even the funnels, like how you're going to market or the approach itself. And ultimately, my view is that we might not and we meaning like whoever participates in what I'm creating, we might not out sprint, we might not make the most money, we might not be the fastest, but we will outlast everyone because you can you can shift in any sort of way that feels more connected to your heart. And ultimately, you're just going to move into more heart-centered awareness and then create from that space. And that, it's like you can't possibly lose. You'll always have the foundation. I mean, you could just not do it entirely if that's your heart, but then you're still winning because you're you're completely following your path. And I
Yeah,
and then when you're sharing like, can we do this? I'm like, yes, I can do this because this is totally what I'm doing over here, and I'm learning a hell of a lot from the experience of one-on-one and what someone's giving me and how can I serve in that moment isn't always what I think is best for them. I actually have to find a way to have them see what's best for them or experience actually what's best for them. And often it's like you have to stumble. So I'm going to just be a reflection or be a mirror and then allow you to stumble through this so that you can find where you're at and pick yourself up. Just as an example, it doesn't always have to be a stumbling, but yeah, I think you and I are well equipped to offer this. And I think our own evolution will continue and grow because of this experience, because of this opening.
totally. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And it builds on it. And here's another part. It's like we can go out there and offer our own containers, but we'll still come back to this. Why? Because this is our first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
It's the
lasted, like
cherry.
you said. Yeah, and because we took it slow. And here's another thing. It's like it blossoms because it's slow
Hmm.
and it's patient. And that teaches the dedication and commitment to come back to it because there is no rush to get anywhere. We don't have to get to ecstasy and orgasm of anything, a peak, get to the top of the mountains slow. And we're
Yeah.
flirting with it. It's
Hmm.
actually a flirtatious way. And I just yesterday, it was new moon in Virgo. So yesterday was really interesting because I submitted this form um, to invite people on my podcast, and I was very clear and transparent on what this podcast is not. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
sit here and market your brand, like absolutely not. It won't even happen.
Hmm.
And no matter what, I want you to know this is not for your facade to show up in your superficiality and how great you look on on your templates and thumbnails. You know, like it's actually marketing is your heart and your truth. And
Hmm.
if you're able to show up, I'm able to meet you right there, and that's your marketing and your brand.
Yeah.
And you can't help it. And so far, the space in podcast is exactly that space that you and I are talking about. It's like if you drop in, because I'm dropping in and I'm holding the container, you can't help but not to come in without trying to change anything. You're actually fully surrendered. But for that, you need to have somebody who's ready for it. So I
Hmm.
can't force this on you. I can open it and I can tell you in any time you're ready. And I will tell you with such a truth in my heart that I will meet you right there at the time when you're ready. Trust me on this because I trust it. And I
Hmm.
don't trust what my structure of it is. I trust my heart in it and it's going. So until when? I don't know. Is there an ending to it? I'm sure. Will it die with me? Who knows? Will it 10
Hmm.
years from now become something else? Who knows? But I gave it a shot and I tried it and I took the momentum of the train and it's becoming something. So same thing. I think we have you and I have a good flavor for it.
Hmm.
And it's just a matter of time. Oh, I know this in my bone. It's just a matter of time when we start doing this for people and give them back their power. Actually,
Yeah.
help them recognize themselves without us taking any credit for it.
Yeah.
That's one of the requirements. We said not ours. We said
Hmm.
we're not identifying with it. We're not to be famous with this. One like is okay. If no like, perfect. And the good intention, really good
Hmm.
intention.
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
proud of us. Now I'm proud of us. 40 keys later.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything else to say to complete it? We're almost at the 2 hour.
Nope.
That feels great.
Yeah. Feels really good.
Okay. Well, I'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye bye.